interesting angle about farm management.
Yes, I guess so, yes. Well, the world runs on intuition. People make most decisions on intuition. And of course, some farmers are very good intuitive people. They, without keeping full records, without doing lots of sums and budgets, they do achieve wonderful results in their farms. And that's because they have good intuition. Then there are many others who aren't so good at that. And I know one of the researchers talks about the 2-week rule. A lot of farmers do the right thing, but some do it 2 weeks too late, and the result is very late on coming there. So intuition is very important, so we need to work out how to improve farmers' intuition.
How do you go about getting that across in a book?
Well, the book is a story of a group of farmers, 2 or 3 mainly, plus some researchers, and their activity reported in the book was to conduct a 5-year research program and working out how to improve farmers' intuition, and then record the results of that. And it was pretty favourable, really. You'll need to read the book to discover how.
So what have you done to actually create this scenario?
Yes, the book goes through chapter by chapter all the main decision problems faced by farmers, and each farmer talks about how he's made his decisions and what's happened, and the group critique that with help of some professional advisors, and through that they pick up their intuitive decision-making skills. And it seems to work pretty well, really.
Are people becoming more intuitive because of the book?
Well, I would certainly hope so. The book has only just come out this year, so I think it'll take a bit longer before the worldwide impact will really take effect, but it will.
It is worldwide.
That book's published in 5M Publishing in Britain, but it's throughout the US and Australia and New Zealand.
What's the uptake been like? Has it been good?
So far it has, yes. Yes, it's been on some of the better selling lists in the US, for example, which is surprising really about New Zealand farming stories. Sheep farming mainly and cropping farming. So yeah, it's good.
It's not your first book?
No. Been a number of others, mainly textbooks, the other ones. The one this year we've also put out is about the history of a group of people that set up computer systems for use by farmers throughout mainly Australasia, but there were some in Britain too using the systems developed. So there's a book about the history of that, which group of people that made quite a big difference up and down New Zealand, started the use of computers by farmers.
Computers have certainly come a long way.
Yes, they have. Of course, when we first started, we started in 1980, when the Kellogg Foundation gave us a couple of $1 million to do this, and which then became self-supporting through the sale of the systems. Microcomputers didn't exist, of course. We were going to do all this on a mainframe computers, and people would post in details and we would analyse that and send them results back through the mail. And we experimented with that and did a few of those small systems. But just about that time, fortunately, the microcomputer turned up. But I remember when we bought our first microcomputer, it was equivalent to today's value of about $30,000. And of course it doesn't do nearly as much as your little phone in your hand now. So things have changed dramatically. But what hasn't changed dramatically, interesting, is the real use of these machines by farmers. There's a long, long way to go to develop better systems. Yeah.
And you're still working on that?
Well, we are. Not directly so much, but we're working on research that's leading to systems that might be used. Most farmers use computers now, still, and did then, and still now, for financial recording and paddock details and records, and GST returns and tax returns and budgeting and all those sorts of things. And yet we've just been talking about farmers making intuitive decisions every day. There is no computer systems that really helps them do that. I mean, a farmer every day is making myriads of decisions. He's deciding to move this group of animals or not, whether to put on some urea or to spray today or tomorrow. There's myriads of these little decisions that he makes that there's no assistance for. And things like diseases, that's starting. You could now take a picture of your wheat plant that's looking pretty miserable and send it off, and you can get a diagnosis of what that might be. So that's the sort of thing that's going to evolve and start and do a lot more. And precision agriculture too, of course, is all computer-based.
It's been a very exciting ride, hasn't it, for the last 40 years?
Oh yes, we talked about that, didn't we? There's incredibly, we've seen more change in our lifetime than any previous generation in terms of, when you and I started working in these sorts of areas, of course people sat down, they were lucky to have a calculator, a mechanical calculator, and they would do a budget of what they were going to do or a valuation of the farm or something similar there, all by hand, or perhaps with a little calculator. And yes, it's dramatic, the change. And I remember as a researcher too, you see, if you wanted a copy of some research that someone had done in England or somewhere, because it came out in journals in our library here and they'd appear there, if you wanted a copy, you got an aerogram and you wrote a little note to this fellow in deepest Scotland or somewhere, and that would go and come back, and eventually you might get a reprint of this thing if you were very lucky, sort of 6 months later. But now, of course, we sit at our computer and we can access any journal anywhere in the world and get what some research has done instantly on our desk. So dramatic changes.